Okay. There's one problem here. 1 second. Sorry. 1
Nice
second.
meeting you. We'll have the kid back Thursday.
Okay. Amen. Amen. Okay. All right. Welcome back. Shavua Tov. We're holding at the end of letter 31. End of letter 31. Just before we go into the lesson and into the summary of the ideas, this historically, these last 3 days, Tammuz, Hey, Vav, Zayin, that means Shabbos, Friday, Thursday, commemorates the 3-day pogrom that took place in Uman. 4 years before Rabbi Nachman was born, in 1768, there was a major pogrom that lasted 3 days, and they killed approximately 30,000 Jews. What happened was, there was this Cossack who wanted to revolt against the Polish Empire. Poland at the time took over Ukraine. Ukraine, like I think I mentioned this once, Ukraine is such an upside-down country. They don't know how to run a country. That's why Ukraine translates as the border, because that's what they are. They're a gvul, or a border for Russia, or Austria, or Hungary, or Poland. They don't know how to be independent, even till now. They're so corrupt. This war is ridiculous. Ridiculous. What war? It's a joke. It's just for money, whatever it is, okay. So back then, the Cossacks wanted to revolt against the Polish Empire, who was in charge of Ukraine at the time. So this guy named Ivan Gunta, Yemach Shemo, he set up a revolt, and obviously wherever they go, they slaughter Jews, because Jews have money. So he was going from village to village in this revolt, slaughtering Jews and also Polish ministers, whatever, governors, anyone connected to the government, but mainly the Jews, because they knew that's where the money was. So the Jews who were escaping were all running, fleeing to Uman. Why Uman? Because Uman had a strong wall. It was fortified. And it was a strong fortress. It was built as a fortress city back then, like whenever it was built, 500, 600, 700 years ago. They made a strong fortress for all the battles that it went through, so people knew they can go to Uman and be locked in and be protected. So Jews from Nemirov, from Breslov, from all these villages, Vinitsa, all the area of that part of Ukraine, they came fleeing into Uman until it was overpacked with Jews, 30,000 Jews, okay? And it was walled. So Gunta came with his army, okay? It was also the Polish army, the general also went against the government. So he joined forces with Gunta, so like two armies together, marching on to Uman. So the mayor of the city, he said, I'll let you in on condition you kill only Jews and you spare all the Poles and the Ukrainians. He agreed, but he didn't keep his word. I think the mayor's name was Mladanovich. I think that was his name, Mladanovich. They came in and they started, as soon as they found Jews, they started killing them. Okay, it was literally blood, corpses all over, okay? Even Mladanovich was killed also. He didn't keep his word. He also killed the Poles, but he mainly was after the Jews. So many Jews there fought back. They had daggers, they had pistols, whatever they had, and they did their best to fight back. So many Jews fled into the local shul. There's a synagogue if you've been to Uman. There's the old breslov-therapy, it's called. That's the shul. There's famous pictures and photographs and everything. And to the left of this breslov-therapy, there was the actual shul of Uman, one of the big shuls. It's called Shomrim Laboker. So many of the Jews fled into there, bolted the doors, and they had daggers and knives and spears and everything, and they were holding on. So what he did was, Gunta, he made a chuppah, a canopy, put a cross underneath it, and he declared any Jew who comes out and prostrates in front of the cross will be spared. Not a single Jew gave in. It was a big Kiddush Hashem. So they brought a cannon, they broke open the doors, and they started killing as many Jews as they could. The Jews fought back. They also killed some of the Cossacks, but in the end, they all submitted. The highlight, unfortunately, is how he killed the children. What he did, I have to say this because it's history. It's important to know, just to know why Rabbi Nachman is buried in Uman, why he chose, one of the reasons, of the million reasons that he had, that he chose to be buried in Uman. So he gathered all the children together, little kids, 4, 5, 6, and in front of the kids, he killed their parents, but a slow death. They cut off their arms and legs, and they're dying on the floor there. And then he told the children, if you don't want this to happen to you, you have to bow down in front of the cross. Not a single Jewish child submitted. It was a big Kiddush Hashem. Okay, of 30,000 Jews, there's not one recorded story of a Jew prostrating to the cross to be saved. They all died on Kiddush Hashem. Who was saved? There was a Talmid, a student of the Baal Shem Tov, who lived in Uman at the time, Rav David Chazan, and he hid in a cave with another 9 students in a cave, and they closed it off so they wouldn't even think of going into the cave to look for Jews. And they can hear from the inside of the cave, they can hear the cries and the screaming of the Jews being tortured for 2-3 days until it died down, and they felt it was safe to leave. They came out and they were shocked to see all the streets filled with blood, mutilated corpses. It was impossible to make a normal grave for all these thousands and tens of thousands of bodies. So what they did is they made a mass grave, and that's where Rabbi Nachman is buried. Rabbi Nachman, where he's buried, it's like a hill, mainly due to the amount of bodies packed in this hill. That's why it's a hill. I mean, it used to be a hill also before he was buried there, but they dug such a deep grave for 10,000 bodies, okay? The children, they put in a certain area. Rabbi Nachman is buried mamash next to the children. How do we know? Because in 1997, 2 guys from Nanach attempted to open up Rabbi Nachman's grave and bring his body to Eretz Yisrael. And they were stopped right before they got to the kever. Okay? Some say they actually got to the kever, but they didn't dig deep enough because the earth in Ukraine is called silt. Everything sinks down. So they actually dug over Rabbi Nachman's kever, and all that did was go downwards. And at that point, a goy on Shabbat came to the apartment that they rented. They rented the next apartment next to where the kever of Rabbi Nachman is. There used to be 2 apartments, 2 houses, 2 villas. The owner came in, he saw sacks of skeletons of children, okay? And they called the police, they stopped them, they kicked them out of Ukraine, whatever. The Breslovers came in, they were freaking out, what happened? So what they did now is after 1997, they cemented the whole ground, so no one can again attempt to try to do that. So it's all cement now, right now. But all the bones that were coming out were babies, were children, kids, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old skulls and everything. So we know Rabbi Nachman is buried amongst the children, those kids, okay? So he said Rabbi Nachman, it was a big Kiddush Hashem. It was a major Kiddush Hashem. They also say, why such a sad pogrom? It was a punishment for the opposition against the Baal Shem Tov. Because of the opposition against the Baal Shem Tov, this type of pogrom had to come. And they say, again, we're talking amongst ourselves, but they say the Holocaust and everything up from then was against, because of the opposition against Rabbi Nachman and Chassidut as an extension. That was the big kalaya. It's hard to say that. You can't 6 million Jews because of this. So it's being recorded, but we're gonna keep it. You can argue it, and we'll accept the argumentation. But it's an oral tradition on the side. If it's valid or not, that's another thing. But this one for sure is recorded that this pogrom in 1768 took place after the Baal Shem Tov passed away. So again, this Rav David Chazan, 9 students, they were involved for days and weeks locating body parts and burying them. Blood, they couldn't collect the blood. It just disintegrates, sinks into the earth, whatever. But it's commemorated these 3 days. Hey Vav Zayin, he wrote a full story about what happened. It's a eulogy called Kinat Uman that he wrote. Rav David Chazan, he wrote it, and they would recite it every year afterwards in Uman after that. So Rabbi Nachman was born 4 years after this took place. Okay, he was born 1772. What is 1772 in American history? That's the year of what's it called? Not Confederation. Is that the word? Confederation is Canada. When America became America. Constitution, yeah. 1772 is in American history. It's a big day. So Rabbi Nachman was born the same year. Okay, it's not stum. Everything has a meaning. But these 3 days, Hey Vav Zayin, were see that's what we said earlier. Tammuz is a tricky month. It's not easy. All the parshas reflect strife and conflict and this and that. Our hope is like Rabbi Nachman teaches in the word Tammuz itself. Tammuz stands for Zichut Torah Moshe, to remember the Torah of Moshe. Okay, that means to learn Torah, to reconnect to the Torah. That's our way to manage this crazy month. Okay, what's crazy is that in the world this is vacation, summertime vacations. So anyways, people are learning less. but learning less, but it's a difficulties. It's funny because the world thinks, oh, I have my vacation, but as a Jew, you don't have a vacation. If you're a Jew connected to the Torah, you try to have vacation in these months, there's punches and this and that. You gotta be strong. There's no vacation for a Jew. Our vacation is Shabbat, Yom Tov. That's our vacation. Zman Charutenu. Every week we have a vacation. Shabbat. I don't have to take a vacation from life, because life is a challenge. My vacation is when from heaven they give us an extra dosage of spirituality. That's my vacation. That's when I can gain more energy, gain more life, gain more light. But the thing that vacation requires me to go to Maui or Aruba or Jamaica, and then what happens? I know many people, they go on vacation and they get upset there. They get into fights, and then they wish they were back already. They miss their work already. What happened? Always they get so excited. Oh, my money! I'm getting ready for my vacation. They tell people at work, I'm going on winter vacation to this place and that place, and summer vacation to this place. And then they get there. How was it? Don't ask. Or they say, oh, it was okay, but inside it wasn't as they expected, because that's how it is. That's HaEzer plays games with people. Okay, Baruch Hashem, in Breslov we have a vacation also every day. The time you take to be alone with Hashem, Idboredut, if it's to walk in the forest, if it's in a secluded room, if it's on a rooftop, just to be one with God, that's also a vacation. That's our true vacation, B'ezrat Hashem. That's what keeps us having the energy to go on, B'ezrat Hashem. So this is this time of Hey Vav Zayin. Now we're over it. It's Chet now. Okay? That's last week. We can't deny the Lubavitcher Rebbe's passing in Parshat Chukat. He was a big figure. He had a big part. I'd like to speak a little bit about Lubavitcher Rebbe. He had a big part in Breslov, in saving Rabbi Nachman's grave. In 1979, there was a threat that they were going to build another apartment building over Rabbi Nachman's grave. If you've been to Uman, the whole kever is surrounded by apartment buildings, which were built in the 70s, in the early 70s, and they wanted to expand and build more. So there was rumor that they wanted to destroy Rabbi Nachman's the grave and the house that was there, and to build another apartment building. So it was a true rumor. So Rav Michael Dorfman, a Breslov elder he was living in Yerushalayim, he was sent by the other Breslov elders to go to America to see what he can do. So it worked out. In that, on Sunday, Dollar Sundays, he went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he told the Lubavitcher Rebbe about the problem, about the plight of Rabbi Nachman's grave. So he said, come to my office tomorrow to pick up an envelope, a letter. So he came back to the headquarters 770, Rav Michael Dorfman. There was a letter waiting, addressed to a big rabbi from New Jersey, Rabbi Pinchas Teitz, if you heard of the name before. This Rabbi Pinchas Teitz, even though he wasn't a Lubavitcher, but he was very close to Lubavitcher Rebbe, he had good connections. And this Pinchas Teitz had a big part in having President Carter elected. Getting the Jewish votes for President Carter from New Jersey region was thanks to him, because he made a big gathering of religious Jews and also secular Jews to support President Carter. There's even a famous picture of President Carter wearing a kippah with Rabbi Pinchas Teitz, and he's shaking hands with people in the audience, and that helped to boost the votes. So when he became president, he wrote a thank you letter to Rabbi Teitz, and he said, if you ever need a favor, just ask. So when Rav Michael Dorfman came to Rav Pinchas Teitz with this letter from the Lubavitcher Rebbe to help save Rabbi Nachman's grave, he said, who knows if this is the favor that President Carter gave to me, if it's for this mitzvah. And it worked. There's a whole story. It'll take an hour to tell the whole story of the details. It's unbelievable. But in the end, when there was the Oslo meeting in 1979, 1980, between Carter and Brezhnev, who was the head of the USSR at the time, so they had a whole list of things, that the agreements about Afghanistan, oil, this. The last thing on the bottom, oh yeah, there's a special historical place. They were scared to see the grave, maybe the house, the home of a very special man who has historical significance for Russia and the Ukraine, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. And it's a shame, they want to build another building there. It's a shame to destroy the place, so the grave, so don't touch it. So he agreed. Of all the agreements, nothing went through, but the last thing went through. As soon as it's such a tiny thing to save the grave of a rabbi, no problem. I think it was the grave. They didn't hide it. They originally tried to cover it up, but they said it was the grave site, because that gives it more weight when it's the grave of a historical person, not to move the place where he was buried. So he sent an immediate order to Kremlin, no touching the grave of Rabbi Nachman. They stopped they already brought the trucks and everything and the tractors to start digging. They stopped everything, and that's Rabbi Nachman's grave. We're saying thanks to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And this is besides his secret chavruta that he had for years with Rabbi Tzvi Rosenfeld. Rabbi Rosenfeld had a secret chavruta with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and it was very intense because the whole chavruta was just quoting sources off by heart. But it says in Rashba, Baba Betzia, Kav Vav Mubet, he says, yeah, but in Sota, Tosfot Sota, and the whole argument, it was very intense, but he was at that level of a challenge. Rabbi Rosenfeld with Lubavitcher Rebbe's brain, which was unbelievable. So once he told him, Rabbi Rosenfeld told Lubavitcher Rebbe, I'm planning to print, like he was very close to him, so he was able to be open with him. I'm planning to reprint Rabbi Nachman's books. He says, I want to pay for it. He says, no, it's my mitzvah. Okay? Still, he had a feeling that he put aside money. So he told his son, you have to find out after he passed, because he passed away young, Rabbi Rosenfeld, 56. So he said, find out if the money's still on the side. So after he passed away, Rabbi Rosenfeld in 1978, 1979, so he went to Lubavitcher Rebbe at 770, and he wanted to inquire if they put money on the side. He says, yes, he put money on the side to print Rabbi Nachman's books. Amazing. Just saying, there was a good connection, and he was a big loss, but Baruch Hashem, he had a big connection with Breslov, you can say that. Okay, all that said, that's the historical background of this time. Amazing stuff. So we're going to continue with where we left off. The PS that Reb Noson, the addenda to the letter. Reb Noson added a little piece. We started going into it a little. So just recap from the beginning. But before this again, just to remind us why are we doing this? Why are we going into Reb Noson's letters? We're doing again the letters that Reb Noson wrote, specifically when he was learning himself Rabbi Nachman's lesson in Likutey Moharan, lesson 24, where the main theme is the power of doing a mitzvah b'simcha. The power of doing a mitzvah b'simcha is so powerful in that it helps you to attain what's called the infinite light. Infinite light translates practically as having clarity in life. It's one thing to have knowledge, it's another thing to have clarity, to know what to do. I could know about 5,000 things, but one is the right thing to do. I need to know clarity. I need light. You can be learning Torah like a person learning Torah in a dark room. It's like in the ghetto, Shem Rachel. Person's in a dark room with a little candle, and he's like learning Torah. Then somebody turns on the light, and he sees the whole room, with major light, and he was all alone focused on like one little thing, not knowing there's much more. So clarity is like light. So you get to see the bigger picture, the whole picture, and you're able to make decisions better because you're shining light, not just to your situation, but to life in general. They say that when you step out of your life for a second, what you're going through, step out and just to see what you've gone through from the beginning of your life until now, and you try to get a clear picture of what's happened to you from the beginning that you were born until the present day, and you see the pattern of what happened in your life, all the ups and downs, whatever. So you get a lot of clarity on what your present situation. They say to step out, take a look at everything, you can get a better perspective of what to do. That's an idea of light. And we need light. We need this light to shine into our lives. We all need it. So he says, Rabbi Nachman, the key for this light, it's not now more Torah study and more davening. It's true, we all have to do more Torah study and more davening. But he says where you should invest, where you should put the what's it called, the hadgasha, where you should put the, what's the word in English? Emphasis, thank you. The emphasis should be on simcha. It should not be treated as something secondary. Oh yeah, by the way, b'simcha, these breast-livers, dancing on the car. No, okay, it's a major branch of Yiddishkeit. It's a major branch of life to work on being this b'simcha. If you think it's beneath your dignity, so you're never going to get anywhere. Person is haughtiness, I can't be so happy. You have to be serious. I'm a rabbi. I'm a CEO. I have to be serious. So you're not going to get anywhere. You have to be able to be like King David. David HaMelech, one of the greatest things about David HaMelech is that he was always happy. And he was so happy that the Jewish people loved him, at least those who weren't his enemies. The common folk loved him because, when King David would walk through, he would see simple Jews, how you doing, Moshe, how you doing, Ido, Azariah, he would relate to them, and they loved him because he was a happy person and easy to get along. I just found out this week that one of the chief rabbis of Yerushalayim, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, He was a big Rav. And he was down to earth. He was someone who would speak to people in the mikveh, make jokes and everything. That's amazing. That's an amazing leadership that someone can be B'simcha. That's why he had so much opposition. Because there was envy towards King David, that he was always happy and davening and mechazek people. King David was down to earth, and he was Rosh Sanhedrin at the same time. That's an amazing balance, to be a big Rav, top of the Sanhedrin, in the Sanhedrin, involved in the Sanhedrin, learning Torah all day, and yet being happy, and how's it going? How's the business? How's the mishpucha? King David, okay? So that is a big virtue, okay? To think, no, we have to be serious, we have to be Tisha B'Av. Okay, so stay Tisha B'Av. You want Tisha B'Av, so stay Tisha B'Av. You got it. But if you want to get out, you want to advance, you're going to have to invest in Simcha. And like Rabbi Nachman teaches, even if it requires telling jokes and acting silly, Mila Dishtuta. En malaso, this is the way. The way is Mila Dishtuta. Once the Breslovers saw two prominent Breslovers, Avram Dov, who was a grandson of Rabbi Nachman, and another Breslover, Ephraim, the son of Naphtali, was a jeweler. They both were a bit wealthy, and they were in their Breslov shul in Kremenchuk. They lived in eastern Ukraine, and they noticed how they were old already. They were like in their 50s, and they were throwing at each other like paper balls. People were laughing. Look at this guy. He's a prominent businessman. He's over 50. You can walk around with the gold chain, with the watch, the gold watch, can you imagine back in the 1800s? And they're throwing balls at each other, okay? That's what Rabbi Nachman says, that's what's needed. He said, don't learn from me. He was very serious, Rabbi Nachman. He had a broken heart. He said, I'm busy making a pact for you guys. You guys, I'm telling you, mitzvah, gedola, b'simcha tamid, it has to show on your face. Don't try to... Reb Noson once wrote to his son in the early letters, somewhere here before. I wish I knew it off by heart. I once knew next. It's somewhere around where we're holding. He said to his son, take it from me. If you see the Breslovers walking around with a serious face and looking sad and down and brokenhearted, don't learn from them. Period. I received from Rabbi Nachman otherwise that you have to walk around with a happy face. You have to be b'simcha and you have to show it. Okay? It's an investment. And it's not just once in a lifetime. It's every day, okay? It's a work, but that's the key. That's the key to get out. Like we said, ki b'simcha tetzeu, okay? So now, just one point, Rabbi Nachman mentioned this lesson, and it's going to be needed for the next letter, 32, is that sometimes life is going too good. You're on advance, you're happy, and things are amazing. You're learning Torah, you're davening, the Shalom Bayit, Parnasa's okay. Oh, wait, forgot about that. 1 second, sorry. Right? So everything is going smooth, and you just on a high, then you face what's called a betisha. You get smashed backwards. And sometimes it's too strong, and you feel like they just pulled the carpet from under your feet, and you know where you are. And it has to happen. Why does it have to happen? Because that's the only way to get to that light. Simcha, to that light, you need in between this betisha, where they pull the carpet from under your feet and you say, what happened? And you're shocked, and you're broken, and you feel like Hashem doesn't love you anymore. You did this to me, so I don't need this. I don't like, there's an expression in this week's Rashi. Lo meduvshech velo meuktzech. Hashem, if this is what you do to me, you give me your honey, I don't want your honey, and I don't want your sting. Chas v'shalom. People get so upset. They get upset at Hashem, upset at themselves, upset at everybody else. I don't want to talk to anybody. This is part of the process. So what to do? What to do is you have to wait and keep on going. Even if you're down and you're broken, you pick up the pieces and you keep on going. It's like once, the famous story that Reb Noson and his disciples, there was a fire. There was a fire in Breslov, I think in Breslov, and many houses were burned down. They're Jewish houses. So Reb Noson and his disciples were going around after the fire. It's to see how they can help people. And they saw a Jewish homeowner crying over his burnt down house. And he was looking from amongst the rubble and the burnt wood and everything, things he could salvage to start again. So Reb Noson told his followers, you see what he's doing? That's how life is. The HaEzer burns you down to the root, right to this foundations. Okay, you feel totally burnt out. So what do? You pick up the pieces that are left that you can use, you can salvage, and you start again. That's how it is in life. That's how you get somewhere in life. It's that you get burnt out. Okay, what can I pick up? What can I still do? What's within my reach? I can still daven. Okay, daven. I don't say, this happened to me, so I might as well not even daven. No, whatever I can do within my reach. And you're sad, and you're upset, and you feel miserable, and you're doing it like Oscar the Grouch. You're doing it like really constipated. So you're upside down, and you're doing things like, but you're still doing it. That's the key, because eventually the light comes back because of the good points that you're picking to salvage, to start again. So you have what for the light to shine upon. You need a kli. You need a vessel. For Hashem to shine light on your life again, you need a vessel. What's the vessel? The good pieces that you pick up and you continue with. It's not, again, it's easier said than done, I agree. You need a lot of davening about this to have this happen, Bezat Hashem, when in time of need, Bezat Hashem. Is my phone? No, I was on my phone. No. All right. So we are finally going to start this paragraph. So he says like this, Reb Noson, at the end of letter 31. He says like this: Ahuvi b'ni, my beloved son, bikashti shetishlach li 3 ruble chadash b'halva'a ubekarov tekabelem merabi Shimshon. Okay. We said this last week, we're just going over it again. My beloved son, I have a request from you. Please send me 3 new rubles as a loan, and very soon you will receive them back from Rabbi Shimshon. We said last week about this Rabbi Shimshon, the grandfather of the famous Rabbi Shimshon Barsky. And what's funny is we said in the story last week that he passed away with a loan that wasn't paid for. And here Reb Noson's borrowing from him, the same Reb Shimshon that we spoke about last week, right? About him, he came to Avram Dov, we just spoke about also, in his dream, saying, your grandfather, Rabbi Nachman, won't let me into his chamber in heaven until my loan that I borrowed, I didn't pay back, is settled with, right? So it's funny that in this letter, Reb Noson is saying, I'm borrowing from you, my son, Rav Yitzchak, and you'll get back the loan from the same Reb Shimshon, that a loan itself, because he was someone, again, he had money. When he was younger, he had a job, he lived in the city of Breslov. Later on, he moved to eastern Ukraine, where Avram Dov, the grandson of Rabbi Nachman, lived, and he stayed in the forest, like we said in the story last week. But Reb Noson, you see how careful Reb Noson is? He takes a loan knowing he has where to pay it back from already. He said, I asked for a loan of 3 ruble chadash as a loan, and very soon you'll get it back from Rabbi Shimshon. And because we said it's a very big thing, owing money to somebody is very dangerous. Leaving this world and you still owed money to other people, especially in Breslov circles. Rabbi Nachman, he said once, or there's a Breslov saying, you have to be very careful of the other person's kopek, other person's coin. You got to be very careful of the other person's money. It's very difficult. The person has to do their best that they know, at least from their part, from what they know, I'm clean. I've taken care of all the loans and this and that, and I've covered them as at Hashem. Why? Because there could be a stopping after leaving this world. I can have a blockage then, which I don't want. I want to have things cleared already in this world, so all that's left is me to go through whatever purification is needed and go right to heaven, Bezat Hashem. Okay? So Noson says, Na lekayem dvarai kechol ma she'efshar. Please fulfill my request of 3 rubles. I guess 3 new rubles wasn't a small amount. It was a nice size of money. So that's what he says. Please fulfill what I'm requesting as much as possible. Kechol ma de'efshar. If you can't do the whole amount, then whatever you can from these 2 ruble chadash. And he says, Reb Noson, Ki dechika li sha'ata tuva Hashem yitbarach yirachem. Because the hour is very, very tight for me right now. May Hashem have pity. Reb Noson went through difficulties. After Reb Noson came from a very wealthy family. His father was a miyuchas. He had a good lineage. His father was a wealthy businessman. He had stores in many cities in the Ukraine. And Reb Noson grew up with like silver spoons. He grew up very, very comfortable. And then, not so little years, but many years after he got married, he eventually lost everything. He had what he lived off of. They made an investment for him because Reb Noson didn't work. Rabbi Nachman hinted to him that his tikkun in life is to be invested 100%, 24/7 in Torah and davening and speaking to people to bring them back to Hashem. So like he convinced him, and the family was upset because he had the father bought from a store, and his wife was working in the store. It wasn't good. She's working in the store. He's learning the base midrash. It wasn't a solution. So decided they're going to take his part in the business, invest it, and he'll live off the profits. And he lived up for like about 10 years after his marriage, and then afterwards he lost everything. And Reb Noson said the day that he started eating from wooden spoons and wooden forks, he lost all sense of taste in the food that he ate. There was such a drop for him from going from silver and whatever metal spoons and forks to wooden. It was such a drop that he lost the taste of the food for a while until he gained back his appetite to eat. So it was hard for him, okay? But towards the end of his life, he was into that. And we said, if you remember, that he wanted his son, Yitzchak, the one who's writing this letter to, also to be involved in Torah and prayer, and that's that. So Rabbi Yitzchak said, though, if you'll take care of my parnas, I'll do that. So Noson says, I need enough bitachon for myself. If you don't have enough trust in Hashem for yourself, then go get a job. But like we said in the last classes, but every spare second, learn and daven and make fun of this world. He said, make fun of this world, of the vanities of this world, and spend time, bring books at work, so every time you have a free moment, you have a sefer to learn. And that's how he maintained being a Talmid Chacham, even though he worked, okay? So Rav Noson went from riches to rags, and he knew what it was to be well off, and he accepted his situation, his destiny like that. He was okay with that. But there were times that were very tight, like now. He said, "Kedechika li sha'ata tuva Hashem yitbarach yerachem." But he says to his son, about me telling you about my situation and that I need a loan from you, v'gam mizeh al yelecha mara shchora. But my son, even from this, what's even from this? So it's two things. It's from my situation, hearing what I'm going through, but also hearing that I have to ask you for a loan, which is not comfortable for a father to ask us a loan from a son, okay? And also a third reason could be that in the past, Rav Noson borrowed many times from his son Rav Yitzchak. And it's not so easy always to have money available. So for any of these three reasons, or all of them, or part of them, v'gam mizeh al yelecha mara shchora. But you shouldn't have any worry, melancholy. That's the good translation. Mara shchora is melancholy from this. Rak tahafoch lesimcha she'af al pichen toda la'el hayali kama orchim al Shabbat kodesh. Here we see his intention. You shouldn't be in melancholy because of my situation that I don't have money. He says, rather transform the situation that I'm going through, that I don't have my basic necessities. Transform it to simcha, that nonetheless, even in my situation that I have no money. Look what he says, Reb Noson. Toda la'el, thanks to God. I had several guests this past Shabbos. This is Sunday, so the Shabbat, the day before, he's talking about. I had several guests on Shabbos, even though I don't have money. V'chulam, this is funny. V'chulam achlu kugel v'koilich, and everybody ate carbs, only carbs. No fish, no meat, no chicken. Everyone had kugel, or potato kugel, or noodle kugel, wheat kugel, v'koilich. Koilich is a Yiddish term for a fancy schmancy Shabbos challah. Well, fancy schmancy, whatever regular sweet challah that we have today, they used to call it koilich. What we call today challah, they used to call it in Yiddish a koilich. Koilich is like a big size challah. And he said that even though I had nothing at home, like I have nothing, still I had guests. Rav Noson is trying to show you the pathway of simcha makes the impossible possible. Even he says, be happy. Don't get into melancholy. Oh, my poor father, he needs money and this and that. Don't go into that mentality of worry now, melancholy, or sad. Because you should know, transform it to simcha, because nonetheless, we had guests on Shabbos, and everybody ate kugel and koilich, which is something. Kugel and bread is still, you're yotze. I'm yotze, I fulfill the Shabbos meals, even if I don't have fish and chicken and meat, I have even just basic carbs, I'm okay? So he was saying we all ate that, and everyone's okay with that. V'gam dibarnu divrei Torah, divrei emet v'yatziv v'chule. And also We spoke words of Torah, and which Torah we're talking about. This is his discourse that he wrote on lesson 24. It's the laws of Ishut, the laws of marriage, discourse number 4. And the next letter, which is written on Wednesday of the same week. This is Parshat HaEzer. So it was Sunday, 1830, the 1830, Parshat HaEzer. The next letter is Wednesday, the same week. He's already writing another letter to his son Rav Yitzchak. We're going to go into that right now, B'ezrat Hashem. Both of them are touching upon the discourse that he went through on that past Shabbat. And it's so powerful. It's one of Reb Noson's most amazing discourses in the entire Likutey Halakhot. The Chidush that Reb Noson is going to mention now, or hopefully we'll get to it, is so far-reaching, so powerful, and a person can use it again and again in life, B'ezrat Hashem. All right? So we just finished letter 31, and the point I just wanted to mention, this thing of something which is irrational is unbelievable. He said something irrational. He said, send me money because I have nothing, and it's dachuk, and yet I had guests and had, how? If you have no money, how could you have challah for Shabbos, kodesh, and how do you have kugel? So it's two opposites in one, and this is how life works when you have simcha. When you have simcha, the impossible happens, okay? I gave a shir last week on the parsha of the week, and it's so shaykh to this. Last week's parsha, Chukat, spoke about the passing of Aaron HaKohen, okay? So the parsha says that Moshe was commanded by Hashem, Kachet Aaron, take Aaron, bring him with words that he's going to pass away, and take his son Elazar, and Aaron has to go up with the 8 garments of the 8 vestments of the Kohen Gadol, okay? So the command in the verse, and the verse has a lot of redundancy. Hashem commands Moshe, you have to take off the garments from Aaron and inaugurate his son Elazar by putting them on immediately. So while Aaron is about to pass on, he's about now to go lie down on his grave, because there was a cave waiting for Moshe, Aaron, and Elazar. There was like a bed made with a candle lit. Okay, this mountain today is in Jordan. People go there. His yard site is coming up on Rosh Chodesh Av. Today it's kind of upside down because of the present situation, but there's groups who go every year on Rosh Chodesh Av to the grave of Aaron HaKohen. Okay, it's on Mount Hor HaHar. It's like one apple, Rashi says, on top of another apple. It's like there's another lump on top of another bigger mountain. That's how it's shaped till today. On the top, there's an actual grave, like what's it called, a shrine. And even the Arabs go to pilgrimage his grave. And they say in Arabic, the name Aharon, the brother of Musa, brother of Moshe. Till today, people go to the kever, even Arabs. And that's where he's buried. It's next to the famous place called Petra. You heard of Petra? So above Petra, on the mountains above, is the kever of Aaron. It's a nice walk. You need a donkey, camels. They have also these like special type of road blazers, whatever, to go up. Okay, I'd like to go one day. So it's outside the border of Eretz Yisrael. Obviously, it's on the side of Jordan. Okay, so Moshe took Aaron and Elazar. They get up there, and he has to take off the garment. And the Midrash learns out from the excess words in the verse. They learned out that as soon as Aaron takes off the outer vestment, which is like the ephod, he puts it on immediately Elazar. What's the question? How could you dress someone, he's undressing, and then dress immediately a second guy with the clothing? In other words, Aaron is taking off the outer vestment and it's going on immediately onto Elazar. And then he takes off the jacket that's underneath the ephod. How do you get it onto Elazar underneath what he's wearing already? So the Midrash says there were absolute miracles. It had to be done like this. It had to be that as soon as Aaron took off the garment, it went on Elazar. but it's impossible, logically. How do you get the second garment, which is underneath, onto Elazar after he's put on already the outer garment? So the Midrash says there were absolute miracles how this was done. So the question is, why is the Torah, why is Hashem requiring Moshe to undress Aaron and immediately put on the clothing? Well, let Aaron undress totally, all 8 vestments, and then dress him Elazar. No. Wanted immediately. What's going on? So here is this idea of what simcha leads to. The term Rabbi Nachman uses in lesson 24 from the Zohar, it's called mate vela mate. This what we spoke about not long ago, about this smack when things are going amazing and you're besimcha, and then you get a betisha, you get a smack. The smack is, like we said, the carpet is taken from under your feet, and things are irrational now. You just like lost lost balance and control of everything in life. Nothing makes sense anymore, and you're totally frustrated. You're totally confused. You're totally broken because of it. Okay, and yet this is how you're gonna get to where you have to get to in life. Oh, how? I don't know. Does it make sense? And then you see afterwards in life, you got out of things. You don't know how it happened. I had no idea it happened. So it's learned out from the vestments. How are you going to put garments on backwards? And yet it happened. How? Miracles. This was needed because Aaron was giving over the keter kehuna to his son Elazar. I know this is a bit deep, but the idea is because Aaron was a happy person. Aaron merited to be Kohen Gadol because he was happy for his brother. Right? It says, remember Parshat Shmot, that Moshe Rabbeinu was worried, you want me to become a prophet? Take out the Jews out of Egypt. My older brother, Aaron, is already a prophet. Use him. He's going to be upset. You asking me to be a prophet over him? Hashem says, no. You're going to see Moshe, that when Aaron will see you coming back, and that you were sent by Hashem to the Jews, it says, and he'll be happy for you. He won't have jealousy. Rashi says on the spot, because of the simcha that he had in his heart, no jealousy, he was zochet to the breastplate, the choshen, on his heart, because to show that he had true simcha. Aharon had true simcha, which means no jealousy. Even where it would make sense to have jealousy, your younger brother, he's better than you. You, Aharon, you're already a prophet, and here's someone younger than you, and yet no jealousy, no envy. What? This guy deserves something big. He became the Kohen. The Kohanim are the sign of simcha, because they have to be happy. We said this, if you remember, in the paper towel here. Sorry, we said in one of the classes that the Zohar says that if a Kohen woke up in the morning, went to the Beit HaMikdash and he was like sad, they say go back home. You're not allowed to work in the Beit HaMikdash if you're sad. You have to be b'simcha if you're in the Beit HaMikdash. The Kohanim have to be b'simcha, and they're working fast. The Levim are playing music, and the Kohanim have to do everything. Not of okay, let's serve. They weren't under pressure. It was out of simcha. They're doing things properly and fast. That's an amazing thing. Okay. So now, that's called the keter kehuna. To get to any keter, the keter, we said, if you remember, is the term for the infinite light. It's called keter. The keter is what pushes you back as the prerequisite to taste the infinite light in your life, thanks to simcha. So here, where now Aharon is transitioning to the next world, he's going to be passing on, and now the kehuna gadol has to go to Elazar, so the garments have to be done in this way. That he's taking them off and he's putting them on backwards. He's taking them off normally, external, underneath, and then Aaron lies down in the kever, and Elazar has to take it on the opposite direction. What in the world? Because this is mate vela mate, reaching and not reaching, and this represents the parts of life which don't make sense, that are just totally frustrating. You feel like Hashem just dropped you in the middle. He lifted you up, and then takes off you take the ladder that you were climbing up. It's like taken off under your feet, and you don't know when the world is happening. This is how you get somewhere in life. It's not easy, but this is the key to growth. To being able to just, even though it's hard and you're broken, to collect yourself, like we said, the fire in Breslov, to collect the pieces and just to keep on going. Okay? How many Holocaust survivors didn't keep on going? They just were totally destroyed after the Holocaust. And how many were able to fight, be warriors, and to start again, and start a new family, and this? It wasn't easy. Okay? Not everybody was like that. Many Holocaust survivors became in a mental institute for the rest of their life. They couldn't get remarried. They couldn't start a new life. Nothing. They were just so upside down. And there were those who fought after everything. They went through the torture. They're able to pick up small things and to start to continue going. And there was products and fruit and everything. Okay. Whew. All right. So let's start at the beginning of this letter. The next letter, 32, and we'll see that Rav Yitzchak sent the money already to his son. Watch. Letter 32. Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach Shacharit. It's like the morning, Yom Dalet, Wednesday morning, Shacharit. Reb Noson's writing this to show again, we mentioned in the previous letter, that he would write it to his son even before davening, because he felt that the love was so strong, he pushed everything aside, even though you got to go to the mikveh, and there's so much preparations for davening in the morning. Reb Noson put some time for his son to write a letter. Also, we have an oral tradition that Reb Noson wrote super fast. He wrote super fast. And in his manuscripts, the disciple of Nachman Tulchiner, who took Reb Noson's manuscripts to make from that the books that he wrote, he said sometimes it was illegible because Reb Noson wrote so fast that the letters were going into each other, and it took time for him to try to figure out what he's saying. Okay? Reb Noson said about himself that he said first the Shach, there's a Shach, Siftei Kohen, one of the commentaries, one of the codifiers on the Shulchan Aruch, section Yoredea, section Choshen Mishpat. He was during the Tachvetat Chmielnicki massacres. At the time he survived, and he wrote a very lengthy commentary on the Shulchan Aruch. And he lived a short life. He passed away, I think, in his 40s, the Shach. So people asked, how could he have written so much? Plus he was persecuted. He lived in the time of the Chmielnicki massacres, and he passed away young. How was he able to write so much? So they say about the Shach that he knew a holy name of Hashem, and when he said the holy name, the pen would write as fast as he was thinking. Because only when you write, you're thinking faster than you're writing, right? But here, he said the pen went as fast as his thoughts, so he was able to write super fast. So Reb Noson said about himself, I can write as fast, but I don't do a holy name. I can do it automatically without a holy name. Okay? So Reb Noson was able to write faster B'ezrat Hashem. Okay. So he says like this. Shalom kanahug. Shacharit Yom Dalet. Shacharit Wednesday morning. Chai Sarah. 1830, 1831. It's the end of 1830 in the winter. Breslov. Shalom kanahug. When Reb Noson writes like this, so you know he's in a rush. He doesn't start off in honor of my precious beloved son, Rav Yitzchak. He's in a rush, Reb Noson, because he has to daven Shacharit. So you can see he's in a rush. Shalom kanahug. The normal greetings, the normal peaceful greetings. Michtavo kibalti. I received your letter. This is Wednesday. He wrote him already on Sunday, so he got already a response to his letter from Sunday. Gam shlosha ruble chadash. I also got from you the loan of the 3 ruble chadash. Teshuat chen lo azeh. This is an expression in Hebrew. Many abundant grace, a gift of grace to you for this kindness that you've done for me of lending me this 3 ruble chadash. Vehine michtavcha haya li lenachat gadol. Now behold, this is the financial side. He pushed it off the side now to the actual bulk of the letter that he sent in. He said, you should know the letter that you sent me, I had tremendous nachat. Why? Because look what he says of Noson. Ki ani ro'eh shemichtavai osim roshem tov etzlecha. Because I see that the letters I'm writing to you are not in vain. The letters I'm writing to you are making a major good impression upon you. Roshem tov etzlecha. These letters in Hebrew are called Alim LiTerufah, which means leaves, like leaves of a tree, of healing. Leaves of healing. And they were printed. Why were they printed? Because Reb Noson writes him a few times in his letters to the people who he's writing to, especially his son, save these letters. Save them, because in future time to come, they're going to be needed to give a lot of chizuk and encouragement to people. Till today, the greatest address of encouragement is Reb Noson's letters, because this is where it's practical as much as you can. In other words, when he's writing a Torah book, it's still theoretical. When he's writing prayers, it's where I want to be. But the letters is actually where he's holding. When you see how Reb Noson is talking and what he's going through and what his son is going through or other people, it's mamash, the practical as great as you can. Okay? So he says, "V'hinei michtavai haya li nachat gadol, ki ani ro'eh shemichtavai osim roshem tov etzlecha." I see that they're making a good impression on you, and I'm just adding also on us. Ube'emet kulam nichtevu b'tshuat Hashem. They say in Breslov, you should learn these letters every day. It's not official, but every day you should touch Reb Noson's letters, because there's so much encouragement found in these letters. It's unbelievable. In Breslov today, people don't really regard the letters, but we're trying in these classes to open them up, to show how it's power-packed when you read it carefully. It's power-packed with encouragement and guidelines for life, okay? So he says, "Kani ro'eh, shemichtavai osim roshem tov etzlecha, ube'emet kulam nichtevu b'tshuat Hashem." The Reb Noson said, I really didn't have planned to write these letters. The truth is, all of these letters were written with just amazing salvation from God. In other words, it wasn't meant to be. It was just out of pure salvation that I was able to write these letters, because he's so busy. You know, Reb Noson, in the introduction to these letters, The introduction was written by Rav Nachman Goldstein of Chern, another disciple. Reb Noson had two main disciples, Rav Nachman Tulchin of Tulchin and Rav Nachman Goldstein of Chern. The Rav of Chern was a big halachic rabbi, codifier, dayan. People were scared of him. He was like a big shot rabbi in all areas of the Torah. Okay? And Rav Nachman Tulchin was a simple guy. He was an orphan, yet he was totally connected and devoted to Rav Noson, and because I received so much from him. Okay? So the introduction to these letters was composed by Rav Nachman Goldstein of Chern, and he writes in the introduction that anybody who knew Rav Noson and saw what he did, for example, how much he wrote Likutey Halakhot, his discourses, so you would think he spent his whole life just writing, but it's not the case. He wrote also letters. He also fundraised to build the shul, the klois in Uman. He also went around mechazik people. So you think whatever he did, you thought he only did that because he was doing it so much. He was only learning, only davening, only writing, only collecting funds, only writing letters to people. Each thing he did, you thought he was only doing that. And then you find out the guy was doing so many things in 24 hours. It's unbelievable. So that was the greatness of Reb Noson. He was able to do so much. So he's saying now also, these letters, באמת כולם נכתבו בתשועת השם. They're all coming out of the salvation of God. How? על ידי גודל תשוקת הרצונות והכיסופים שלנו להשם יתברך. All these letters were written exclusively through the unbelievable yearning and the pining and desire that we have for Hashem. In other words, the desire that we are trying to come close to Hashem, this is what created these letters. That's true. These letters, he didn't plan to write them. Again, it was all because his son wrote them, please write me letters, my father. He said himself, it's only because you asked me to write you that I'm writing to you. Your desire for my letters is what's pushing me to write them. And that's why I have all these letters. There's how many letters in total? There's, a lot. 1 second. This is the first volume. This is the second volume. This is only volume 1. The second volume, there's like over 400 letters, maybe more, much more, spanning about 20 years. It wasn't even all Rav Noson's letters, all his life. It was only up to a certain time. But these letters are very powerful, very potent, and we'll stop here. We should be Zoche B'ezrat Hashem to implement Rav Noson's words and work on being B'simcha. It's going to come up again and again and again, and not to despair, and not to fall into sadness, and to know that Simcha creates new openings in life that weren't there even. Total openings, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay. Shkoyach Gadol. Thank
I
you.
have a question.
Of course. Chabad didn't record it. 1 second.